my name is Tim Coysh. I work for the Evangelical Alliance, and my role is head of digital and membership. So I head up the digital membership teams. Our membership team works primarily day to day with our members, our customers, so to speak. But the digital side is a lot more sort of data based, sort of thinking about that. So, looking at where our members are, who they are, demographic profiling, all that sort of stuff. We are a 70-year-old organization. We work with churches and charities across the UK. We basically represent them. We're a membership-based charity, so we represent them in government and politics. We support them, we help them out where we can, and we work with them to sort of further our cause, which is spreading Jesus across the UK. Big one is adding their voice. They add their voice to ours. So when we go into sort of those corridors of power, places like Westminster and sort of some of the nation governments and media, we can say on behalf of our X thousand members, we are saying this. So that's a big benefit for us. A benefit for them is that a lot of churches, and especially church leaders, are very isolated. They can be in an area where there's no other churches around, and they get to be part of sort of a bigger community, bigger network. And we also support them when there comes various issues. We're there to be their first line of support. Yeah, so AFD is predominantly using our database, so in our data stuff. So we get tens to hundreds of signups a week. And we store their addresses. We have a big mailing list, so we've used AFD to sort of clean our data before. When you're as old as us, we have a lot of legacy data, so we've used AFD to clean our data. But primarily on a day-to-day, it is making sure we have correctly formatted addresses, which sounds really stupid when you say it, but honestly, the need and the use of that is so important. Especially when it comes to sort of areas, the address areas and latitude, longitudes, which I guess we'll talk about in a sec. But it's used primarily in our database on a daily basis, but also for users in our website. So we've got self-service portals, so members can update their address, update their details, stuff like that through the website, and that's where AFD comes in. The sort of enter your postcode. Is this your address? That is very useful from a user experience point of view. It'd be a disaster, wouldn't it? No, it would be the lack of integrity and structure to our data would probably make a lot of our processes redundant, like not useful. We have a regular magazine that we post out. If there was no validation, verification, or formatting of the addresses, half those magazines would not reach who they're supposed to, and probably the other half just would end up next door or something like that. It's just, and we would also not even be able to put the address data into the format that we need to use to send it out. So there's you can see lots of issues when the address data is not right. Yeah, we use it a little bit. We use the addresses a little bit for fundraising, but the magazines mainly it's a benefit of membership. You were asking me earlier, people sign up, become a member. One of the benefits is they receive this pretty good magazine that they get sent straight to their door, and that does keep them up to date with the work that we're doing, but it's not exclusively about the work that we're doing either. But it's a good engagement touch point for us. Yeah, we also use our address data, for direct debit letters, stuff like that. So it's more of the contractual, transactional side of communicating with them. Really important, especially if their payment hasn't come through for that year or something. We contact them. If we didn't have good quality address data, then yeah, that would be bad for lots of reasons, wouldn't it? We had a legacy database, so our CRM system, and that was built in the early noughties. So, we cleaned the data a few years ago. You can think that some of that data is 20 plus years old. So the cleansing was, to help us with all the things that I've mentioned, but yeah, it was just getting it easy for the migration of the data. You can't migrate data from one platform to another, or you can't easily put it into a spreadsheet, for example, if it's not in the correct format. So I can't remember exactly how many we cleaned, but I mean we've got in terms of membership, we've got over 50,000 records that would have an address in. So how long that would have taken? Probably a team of 4 for months, like it'd have taken a long time. So the automation of that and the speed of what we got the response back, yeah, you can't really compare it to ours, can you? Because it's uncomparable. So we have, obviously, like I said, thousands of member churches who are members of us. What we found was a lot of people wanted to move house to an area, or were looking for a church and an address, and they were asking us, what churches do you have in this area? So we obviously decided to make a web-based way for them to do that themselves. Now, what we didn't have was specific pinpoint addresses of where exactly that church meets, because sometimes there's a difference between where a church meets when you're sending them address data. Now, the property grid level latitude longitude lookup was essential for that, because that needed to be exact, door to door, rather than they're in this area, because you didn't want someone on a Sunday or Saturday or whatever to go to this random house and ask if there's a church there. So being able to do the specific sort of pinpointing addresses meant that we could build that map tool with exact addresses, which, I mean, the feedback we've had from people who have used it has been great. We've had thousands of people use it now, and they've all been hopefully really happy with it, and the feedback we've heard has been really good. It could be anyone from people who have it's publicly accessible, people who have they're just interested in a church, and you're in the area. If you Google find a church, we're one of the highest ones that come up. Or it could be people who have been involved in us for a long time, or have moved house for whatever reason and are really keen to stay within sort of our network of churches. Absolutely, yes. Would recommend AFD. I mean, based on a few things, the quality of the data that we get back from the software it's not. I mean, a lot of people nowadays use Google, Bing sort of data APIs. We found that that's not been as accurate as AFD data, especially when it comes to the sort of cleanliness part. But the other thing that you can't compare with companies like that are the sort of the relational approach that we have with, well, in our case, Jonathan. His knowledge of sort of the system, the data, the addresses in general. He's been great to us. So I'd put that as a really strong selling point. You don't get that when you work with big tech companies, do you?